This is the way it always begins. Men, race cars, and the famous 75-year-old Indiana Oval. It is, of course, an annual test of the driver's expertise behind the wheel of a 200-mile-an-hour racer. But more than that, it is a proving ground for designers and car builders to see if automotive technology advances made in the past year will give their driver that extra ounce of advantage he needs to win. In this first week of practice in early May, new concepts and innovations are soon proven or discarded. The 200-mile-an-hour lap is the target for all drivers. Beyond that is a special high-speed world open only to the most skilled and daring. Some learn from their mistakes. Others are concerned with the fine-tuning of a new machine. It is a great open-air speed laboratory where paper designs are transmitted into hard, fast-moving realities. The speeds climb steadily upward until the fastest 33 cars out of a record 117 entries have been selected to start the 1984 Indianapolis 500. At a field average of 203.686 miles an hour, they take the green flag at 200.
Hello there, I'm Paul Page, voice of the Indianapolis 500. Here in the Hall of Fame Museum are yesterday's speed creations of the future. Each car represents the epitome of design and performance for the years in which they were created. It started with Ray Haroon's Marmon Wasp at 74 miles an hour. By the 1920s, the speed had increased to over 100 miles an hour. Parnelli Jones won the 1963 500 in this car. But the year before, he broke the 150-mile-an-hour barrier in qualifying. Tom Sneva, who drove this car to victory last year, is the same man who crossed the magic 200-mile-an-hour line in 1977. And now comes a new historical first. 33 cars have qualified over 200 miles an hour for the 1984 500. So, what's so important about going 200 miles an hour? You and I surely never will drive that fast. Well, the answer is that the technology involved has been adapted to make our own cars safer to drive at 55 miles an hour on the highway. The racing car is designed to protect the driver when he has an accident. The design of your own car gives you the same chance for life. But the 500 is more than an automotive testing ground. It has a mystique, a glory, which attaches itself to these young men who take their life into their hands and compete for the richest prize in competitive sports. They come from many different countries and different walks of life. They mingle their expertise with the technology of the computer age. It is this combination which produced the Indianapolis 500 for 1984. And the story begins in early May.
The selection process begins. It is Saturday, May 12th, and 1979 500 winner Rick Mears is on the track. His speed climbs to a four-lap average of 207.847 miles an hour. It could be fast enough to earn him the coveted pole starting position. A rookie with a familiar name is on the track. Michael Andretti of Nazareth, Pennsylvania, becomes the second man in Indianapolis 500 history to race against his father. His speed is way up front with 207.805. Now, dear old Dad trying for the pole. But on his fourth and last qualifying lap, the engine dies, and Mario coasts past the checkered flag. He can't believe that this has happened to him. His average is 207.467. He will start the race behind Michael. The checkered flag is out for three-time winner Al Unser Sr. A very consistent 204.441 mile-an-hour average earns him the pole spot of the fourth row. Now, the man who visited Victory Circle last year, Tom Sneva of Paradise Valley, Arizona, boosts the pole-winning speed to a new track record of 210.029 miles an hour. When he first broke the 200-mile-an-hour barrier back in 1977, they said that was the limit. Well, now it's 10 miles an hour faster. Jose Legarza, over 200. Gordon Johncock, two-time winner, is in now with 207.545. Teo Bobby, last year's pole sensation, 203.6. Al Unser Jr., 203.404, just a little slower than Dad. Howdy Holmes, Ann Arbor, Michigan, claims the second spot with 207.977. Mears moves to the outside. Sneva stays in place. It looks like that's the front row. Steve Chassis is next. He tried hard to save it, but crashed the wall and rode it to a stop in turn 4. Roberto Guerrero from Colombia is a rookie on his second attempt. He boosts his average to 205.717 miles an hour. Now, A.J. Foyt. This will be his 27th consecutive 500, a record unequaled in Speedway history. 203.860 is close to the field average. He's in the race. Gasoline Alley is the nuts and bolts world of auto racing. The shell of a car is both aerodynamic and cosmetic.
George Woodruff, please go to the Goodyear garage. George Woodruff.
But underneath lies the real complicated mechanism which can carry a driver to winner's circle. Why are these cars suddenly going so fast? What brought about the 210-mile-an-hour lap of Tom Sneva? We asked master mechanics Derek Walker and Tyler Alexander.
The reason the cars are going so quick is the advancement in probably the wind tunnel area. Cars are being designed from the beginning in the wind tunnel, gaining the aerodynamic advantages. I think that is where the biggest gains have been made in the last few years.
The aerodynamics have been improved, and therefore the speeds are much greater. That's it in a nutshell.
The littlest spectator probably couldn't care less how fast the cars go. It's more than speed that brings people out to the 500. We asked Anjanette Hutchins why she was there.
I don't care how fast they're going. I just come to see the gorgeous drivers.
And Mary Tanner?
Well, there's my brother, Al Unser, and there's my dad, Al Unser. I guess that's a good reason to come out.
Well, this 1919 Packard was around when Mary's grandfather, Jerry Unser, was racing up Pikes Peak. They found it rusty, half buried in a Midwest field. It took 3 years to restore, and now the Wingfoot Express makes a nostalgic visit back to the Speedway. But nostalgia was not on the minds of unqualified drivers who wanted to claim one of the few remaining starting positions. For some of them, disaster was waiting. Three-time winner Johnny Rutherford has exhausted the 3 chances to qualify allowed for each entry. It looked like he would sit on the sidelines until A.J. Foyt and his partner Jim Gilmore purchased Al Unser Jr.'s backup car and gave Johnny another chance. On the track, with virtually no practice time, he takes his last shot. The car smokes mysteriously, but he decides to ride it out for 4 laps. 202 miles an hour. No record, but Rutherford is in the 68th Indianapolis 500. Daybreak. The magic moment arrives. There is a special blessing for the racers. Then, organized confusion. This is the time they have been preparing for. Each man will perform his assigned task in synchronization with others to produce a symphony of color, excitement, drama, and a moment of supreme victory.
Is the chairman of the board of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mrs. Mary F. Hallman. Gentlemen, start your engines.
And a mighty roar goes up, all up and down the line.
Rick Mears is first. Tom Sneva second. This is the early pattern of the race. Behind them are Michael Andretti, Mario Andretti, Howdy Holmes, Roberto Guerrero, and Junior and Senior Unser. The blistering pace continues for the first 25 laps, with racing speeds right at 200 miles an hour. Mears can see Sneva in his rearview mirror most of the way. Howdy Holmes makes an early stop in the 15th lap with electrical problems. This 8-minute and 40-second delay effectively removes him from competition. It's the start of the 26th lap. Rick Mears is in for service. 18 seconds for 3 tires and a load of fuel. Tom Sneva is in. Bone dry. He settles for a full load of fuel and a restart in 22 seconds. The field is shuffled around. Mario Andretti has the front spot from the 26th to the 47th lap. It's Spike Gelhausen sideways in the south short chute. He stops in turn 2 without touching anything, but for a moment, he represents a hazard to the high-speed field. Everyone pits. Generally, a pit stop every 25 laps is normal, and the Gelhausen spin came at the 48th lap. Driver, Dick Simon, pleads with his mechanic to keep him going. The green flag again. Sneva leads, then Mears. It's Pat Bedard in the north short chute. His car is reduced to a pile of disconnected junk and a miracle. Bedard survives with minor injuries. It is a reliable test of the new safe car design. Green again. Teo Fabi leads. Then Danny Ongaias. Fabi again. Then Al Unser Jr. And then Sneva. Bobby comes in with ignition problems, out of the race. At the entrance to the pits, Gordon Johncock spins through, hits the inside wall, bounces back, and comes to a rest on the inside of the track wall. He has a broken foot and a big frustration. Johnny Rutherford and his new car are out with an engine failure. Al Unser Jr. joins the growing parade of sideline drivers. His car has a broken water line. Mario Andretti gets the signal to come in for service. Ahead of him on the pit driveway are Rick Mears and Jose Legarza. Unable to pass, Andretti rams Garza and damages his nose cone and right front wing. Too much damage to continue. Andretti climbs out. After 15 years, he's still looking for his second Indianapolis win. Mears leads the race as the green flag comes out again. Tom Sneva pits almost immediately. At first, it looked like a routine stop, and that momentarily he would go back to battle Rick Mears down to the finish line. But the fueling is off, the engine is stopped, and he climbs out. His car has a broken CV joint, part of the suspension system. If it had failed at high speed, there would have been a very dramatic accident. As it is, Tom Sneva will challenge Rick Mears another day. Mears continues to lead, running close to 200 miles an hour. Roberto Guerrero is second. Al Unser Sr. is third. A.J. Foyt is sixth. The laps tick away as Mears gets closer and closer to his winning goal. There's the white flag. 1 lap to go. Traditionally the longest lap of the race because suddenly the driver has time to think about all the things that can go wrong. Roger Penske and his crew worry Rick on around the track and down to the checkered flag. And there it is. Rick Mears of Bakersfield, California, is a 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner.
Indianapolis champion, a repeat winner. We have now, heading into victory circle, Rick Mears for the second time in his young career.
Rick Mears now. The car overshot with the first serious correction Rick had to make all day.
In 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 21 seconds, Rick Mears drove 500 miles. Along the way, he made 8 stops for service, which took a total of 1 minute and 54 seconds. This time was just about the difference between Mears and second-place finisher Roberto Guerrero. It is easy to ignore the service crews. They perform their tasks in a quiet anonymity, with a sureness of purpose and a paucity of waste movement. They are the hidden heroes of every winning effort, and now they bask in the reflected glory which Rick Mears has earned on his second ride into Indianapolis 500 racing history. His car owner, Roger Penske, has been here before. But this win is very special to him because it has been 5 years in the making. Other wins on other tracks. They look great in the record books, but no speed event anywhere brings with it the prestige of this very special classic on the famous Indiana Oval. Al Unser Sr. gets a welcome home. That's a tired man, but he's still looking for his 4th big win. The day after the race, Rick Mears poses for the winner's portrait. The other drivers are getting ready to leave, but they all have plans for winning the 500 next year. And the old Speedway goes back to being what it's always been, a home for birds, chipmunks, squirrels, and a fat muskrat that lives in the stream at the south end of the track. It's a nice, quiet place to live and raise a family. Or it will be, just as soon as A.J. Foyt leaves for his next green flag at 200.